Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jacque and this is Jacqueismaking, a place where I talk all about the knit garments, accessories, and sometimes quilts that I am making. And I have been a little busy bee over here and I can't wait to update you all on all the projects that I've been working on lately. So today I have a finished quilt to show you all. Then I have 3 knit whips. And then lastly, I have a couple of acquisitions, one being some really fun yarn that's gonna make a really beautiful colorwork sweater that I can't wait to show you. To get started today though, I can't wait to show you what's in here. It's a finished quilt and I'm so proud of it. This is a wedding quilt that I made for our friends. I've talked about the story a couple of times in previous episodes. Essentially, a friend of mine had kind of painted a quilt star. I saw that she loved it and had used it in a lot of her wedding materials, like her stamps and other different places. And so I asked her while we were out to eat, hey, could I make you a wall hanging out of this quilt motif? I noticed that you love it. And she was completely on board and loved it. So quickly I got started. I ended up making it in Adobe Illustrator. It was really nice to just kind of mock it all up and do the exact specs because I knew I wanted it to be 40 inches by 40 inches, which is the same size as a wall hanging that I have that I absolutely love the size of. And then I sent her along to the Art Gallery Fabrics website because I absolutely love their Pure Solids line. They have just the most beautiful, saturated, and unique colors that I knew would go perfectly with what she had designed. And so she picked out her colors, I ordered them, and got on my merry way. And so once I had the quilt top finished, you guys have seen that in the last episode, that finished quilt top, I sent it along to a long armor where I picked out this motif that kind of looked like a topographic map because this couple, they're just a very adventurous couple. They actually currently live in Montana. So it really worked out and fit them. And yeah, I had her select the thread and the batting. I just asked for whatever she felt like would look good in a wall hanging. So I went to go pick it up and she opened up the bag and my jaw just dropped. I was so excited. It just exceeded all of my expectations and made me so excited to gift it to somebody. So this is the first time I'm quilting something for someone. And so I'm really excited to do this more in the future because it's brought me a lot of joy. So whether it's baby quilts or more wedding wall quilts or whatever, I'm excited to make this a part of my making because it's truly been just such a joyous experience for me. So yeah, that is the wall hanging. After this, I need to go make sure I completely lint roll it and steam it out and get it all wrapped up to go out to eat tonight to gift it to them. No matter how hard I tried, I bound this by hand, just with needle and thread. You can bind a quilt with a machine, but I just absolutely love that seamless look of hand binding it. Plus, it's your final moments with a quilt where you get to say goodbye. And no matter what I did, I couldn't keep Katie off of me. She was always having one paw next to me. So yeah, just need to do a quick lint roll, quick iron, and gift it up. And I'm so excited to gift it tonight. So yeah, that is the quilt. And now getting into some of my latest whips. I have 3 things currently on the needles that I'm really in rotation with and I'm trying to get finished. The first one that is so close to being finished is my Rhodes sweater by Ozetta. And I am knitting this out of Cascade 220 in the colorway Silver Spruce Heather. This is a worsted weight yarn and the pattern calls for a US 8 size needle and I dropped down to a US size 7 after my swatch just because I am a little bit more of a loose knitter. And this is so close to being done. I have all the neck, all the body, a complete sleeve, I have all the body ribbing finished. It's just on a holder right now because I'm waiting to see what it looks like after those 2 arms are done, just to make sure I have the exact length I want. And I'm currently knitting up the second sleeve. So yeah, this, you know, from looking at it, it's like, oh, that's just a simple stockinette sweater. But there are a lot of unique details to this. One being the garter ridges on the back, which actually I kind of messed up. I went further on one side than another side. I must have just completely miscounted and just not noticed. I'm not really sure how that happened. How I've decided to resolve it is to duplicate stitch over the stitches. It's looking all right so far. I kind of did half of them. I'll have to include a picture if I think it looks, if I get it to a point that I think is good. But yeah, just know I'm still working on that. So that was a unique feature. I also felt like it was a little unique that the ribbing portions, you don't drop down a needle size. You continue with the same needle size that you knit the body and the sleeves with. And I think that makes for just a really thick and pretty ribbing instead of a ribbing that is just like more delicate and cinched in. Also on the sleeves and on the body, you end up doing a couple rows of stockinette after the ribbing before you do a traditional bind off. So making it so it has that little bit of a curled edge. And then on the sleeves as well, this is a drop shoulder sleeve, but when you pick up the sleeves, you end up doing some short rows on the top of it before you continue on. And that was unique. I've never done that before in a pattern. It was pretty quick, pretty enjoyable, but just something to note. And so those little things made me feel like this is just, you know, has a little bit more attention to detail than just like a very standard stockinette sweater, which has made it really, really fun. I've really been enjoying this yarn and this color. I can't wait to knit with Cascade 220 again already. And with this one, I have with the sleeves, I have first of all been using this little clover row counter. I cannot get enough of it. I love it for sleeves because typically with sleeves, when I do my decreases, I'm just kind of like counting the rows. Sometimes I would use a different row counter, but it's a little bit annoying because it's like slinky and would just make a loud noise. So I love that this one's plastic. It doesn't make loud noise. It's not long. And it's just really fun to like turn that counter. And what I've ended up doing with it for some projects is on the right, I'll track like the amount, like what row I'm on, but then on the left, I'll track like how many decreases I've done. So that's just been like a fun way to use both sides as well. And then you may notice I have a tiny little needle on here, and that's actually one of my latest acquisitions. I'll talk about that now. I'm finally trying out a shorter needle size. So I had so many comments from you all giving me directions on what I should do in terms of sleeve knitting, because ever since I've started knitting sleeves, I've always just knit them magic loop. I only have sets of 5-inch needles for my chiagus, and so I can't really get to a super small circumference. And so yeah, I've just always done magic loop. And a lot of you had suggested a lot of different methods, but one that was mentioned many times was trying out the chiagu shorties, since I already love my chiagu needles, and this has been really fun. This is such a fun little pouch. I love how like little and discreet it is. Comes with your little needles in here. And what's funny is I have a really hard time keeping my bigger chiagu pouches in order and organized. But this, I can see myself just keeping nice and neat because it's this cute little pouch. So at least I'm hoping that I do. But as far as the knitting experience, I will say it took me, I mean, for sure, like a couple of rounds to get used to it. But once I got used to it, I felt like I could get in the flow pretty quickly. There were some tips that said to kind of grip the fabric as well while you're knitting. And I felt like that was a really helpful tip. And yeah, you have to realize that you're gonna hold it differently. You're not gonna have the exact same grip that you're gonna have with like my 5 inches as I have with these 3-inch needle tips. So once I kind of got that in my head that I can't do that, that helped me get into a good groove. So yeah, this is almost finished. This will be a finished object in my next podcast episode, and I'm just anxious to get to start wearing this one. It's supposed to be really cold again next week in Wisconsin, so I'm trying to get this one finished so I can wear it a couple times next week. And honestly, just hoping for snow. I haven't gotten to take any cool like finished object photos since I got this good new camera. I took some of my husband, of course, but not while there was snow. And I just think photos in the snow would be so beautiful. Next for whips, I have the Berlin scarf, and I am using Ling Cloud for this. And I've made a decent amount of progress. I've since talking with you all finished one whole ball of cloud, and now I'm on to my second ball, and the scarf in total is only going to take 3 balls. So that helps you estimate how far along I've gotten. And what was cool about finishing that first ball is the pattern never had a repeat. That was just crazy to me. I was like studying it so hard trying to find where the repeat was. So I'm not exactly sure how they do their colorways, but that was interesting to me. Just with the yarns that I've used in the past that have repeated, you know, I can kind of think of like a self-striping sock yarn or that sort of thing. I thought because the repeats are so often in a self-striping sock yarn that they would repeat in this, but they have not. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I think in retrospect, I should have picked a yarn that was a little bit fluffier to fill in some of these holes. That was like a complete error on my part. Obviously, the pattern calls for a fluffy yarn, and I just picked something else. But I think I'm still going to be pleased and happy with this. And like I said, there's still a lot of cold weather on the horizon, so I'm trying to get this one finished to get to wear as well. This one just doesn't have a ton to talk about. It's stockinette in the round, just forever. So there's not a lot to say on this. I will say I'm liking the fabric. I'm liking the colors. It's not as comfy as a knit because it's on 6mm needles, US 10 needles. So I feel like it does hurt my hands just ever so slightly, which makes me not want to pick it up all the time. But I'm hoping to keep making progress on this because it's definitely quick progress. If I just dedicate time to this, you definitely get a lot done with it. So I just need to do that. Speaking of progress, I think a lot of you saw in my Instagram post earlier this week that I closed on a house with my husband. So we are actually building a home, and I was keeping from sharing with you all before I closed. For anybody who doesn't know, when you have a construction loan, you close before they actually start building. So right now, they finally just started excavating and digging today. We finally got our first photos, but this is just a heads up to you all that this background will be changing because we'll be moving in May. And yeah, I'll be coming up with a new craft room and space for myself. But I thought I would mention to you all because it'll be fun to keep you updated on the build progress and all of that. I've already selected all of my materials and I can't wait to show them to you all. But yeah, just a fun little progress, especially since you guys see me in my home and the background will be changing. So perhaps I'll keep you updated on some of that progress. It's fun to see. I'm excited. Okay, and then my last knit whip to show you is the Tulip Loop Vest by Other Loops. And this has actually been pretty fun to work on as well. So right now I just have this back panel. I haven't worked on this a ton just because I'm so close on that road sweater. I haven't been picking this up as much. But what I'm thinking is after I finish this road sweater, I really want this to be my priority knit and getting this off the needles at the same time that I am swatching this new yarn that I'm going to be talking to you about at the end. But yeah, I'm excited to have this for the rest of winter and the beginning of spring as well. I did get so many tips from you all on what to do to tighten up that last knit stitch before a purl stitch when you're doing bigger sections of ribbing. So like for this one, I'm doing mostly 3 knit, 2 purl, 3 knit, 2 purl, and the last stitch was ending up pretty wide in comparison to the other ones. However, because I'm knitting flat, I felt like it was harder to accomplish some of the tips that I was given. So one of the tips was to knit the last knit stitch before your purl, so one of the tips was either to knit the purl through the back loop or to knit the purl wrapping your yarn counterclockwise instead of clockwise. And I tried both. On the front, it works, but then when I would knit back, because I'm knitting this flat, I wouldn't be able to do it the same way, because if I did that with the first purl stitch on the back, it would be twisting that knit stitch on the front. So I think that that is a method that would work really well if this was already in the round, but since it's not, I feel like I just kept like reversing my work every time I would do it on the back. So even I can see like so many stitches that I did it with, there's like no difference. However, it doesn't really bother me. I think it's, still beautiful. And if and when I get into the round, if I decide to change it, I will. However, once I finally just like made peace with it and decided not to do those alterations, I was able to knit so much faster because I wasn't constantly trying to like tighten and wrap the other way and go through the back loop. So yeah, that's where I'm at for right now. Just trying to finish up this back panel. This one I am knitting out of Roma yarn. This is a DK weight yarn, as well as knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the colorway Rainy Day. And yeah, I think this is just gonna be a staple. This is one that I'm like really excited to wear with different outfits and with different things in my wardrobe. So I'm excited for this one. Lastly, for you all, I have some really fun yarn from Kelborn Woolens, and I am so excited to work with this. I have been approved as an affiliate for Kelborn Woolens, so if you would like to try any of their yarns, be sure to check out my link down below. It helps support me and support this channel. But I was talking with them about something that we could potentially be working on together. If you've seen my winter knitting plans, you know my queue is pretty full. However, you might remember that I'm doing that Norma knit along with some of my friends. So once I remembered that, I talked to Kelborn Woolens, and it just so happened that they had their beautiful new mohair releasing. And they also have this gorgeous 100% merino wool called Cricket. And this is in a sport weight and it's a tweed. So it's just so perfect because the Norma yarn that's recommended is a sport weight tweed with a mohair. So I'm really excited that I was able to find another brand to match like so perfectly into these dimensions. So yeah, right away I got onto my Canva board and I mocked up all of these different colors. I kind of wanted to do something again in this like navy teal-y realm. It's just some of my favorite colors right now. And I also just wanted to highlight like some of their awesome new mohair colors. So yeah, these are kind of the 3 colors that I am going to be doing. Majority of the sweater is going to be in this navy, and then it's going to have some accents. I believe this is ocean, maybe, in this like teal and kind of citrus-y color as well. So this is going to be something that like you get the yarn for and you're just so excited because it's so gorgeous. but also you have no idea what it's gonna look like. So I cannot wait to swatch this. I've actually been waiting to show you all this yarn in full skein form before I get to winding it up and swatching, but I'm actually going to Wool & Co. this weekend with my friends to go yarn shopping. And so I think what I'm gonna do is knit this swatch while in the car with them, because it is our Norma knit along together, just to like have a fun moment together with all of that. So yeah, I'm so excited about that one. I don't really know what to expect with the Norma, but I think that once I finish that Rhodes, my next two projects that I'm really going to be focusing on are the Norma and finishing out that Tulip loop vest. But yeah, that is those. I guess I do have one more acquisition. It's I'm saying it like this because it's an ebook. It's not a physical book. And this is, I think it's like a weekend with Wiola Cardigans something. I'll have to put it up here on the screen. But I had seen a beautiful cardigan on TikTok actually, and then went into a deep dive looking at all these gorgeous patterns that Wiola has made. And this book actually only comes in Norwegian, I believe, but it is available in English, translated just through an ebook. So I made the purchase and it is just absolutely gorgeous. So my homework for myself is to pick out which pattern I want to make out of these, because Wool & Co. has Roma Phenol, which is that fingering weight yarn. It's really great for color work, and Wiola uses it in a ton of her patterns. So actually what I need to do is I need to relook at my Marie Wallin book and then compare and contrast it with this Wiola book, because they're both like some color work that I want to be tackling and trying for sure this year. But I just need to decide which one I want to do first, because Wool & Co. also has that Jamieson's of Shetland yarn. They're both in fingering weight. It's just deciding the construction and what I actually want to wear. So yeah, I really want to do some color work. And I was kind of thinking like, okay, this Norma is like, that's going to be my color work. But once I looked at the Norma pattern, a lot of it is just stripes or 1 by 1 on the little like key-ish parts. So it's not really like intense color work, and I really want to challenge myself. I tried kind of late last year to do some color work socks, and that was a little bit hard at such a tight circumference. But I really want to do it. Obviously I'm wearing color work right now. This is a larger gauge color work, but I've never done a smaller gauge like that fingering weight color work. And I know I've used Roma Phenol before and I loved working with it. So those are kind of all of my big thoughts right now. So yeah, that is everything that I have. I hope that you all are doing well and surviving through winter. I know I've had a little bit of a stressful week with work and trying to finish workouts and still cook for myself and still craft and still do this. So I hope that you guys can take some time for yourselves this weekend, as I'm going to try to enjoy making and to not make it stressful on ourselves, because we're doing it for fun. And also to create like a little bit of an ambiance for yourself. I have like a little candle lit right now. This flavor is called Temple Moss, and my whole room smells like a spa hotel forest. It smells so good. But I'm loving like little things like candles, or I also have this new tea I've been loving. It's called Egyptian Licorice Mint. I'll have to link down below. But the tea, oh, it's excellent. And it's just so, just like doing a little bit something special for yourself, I think can be so helpful during the hard winter seasons. All right, well, that's all that I have for you guys today. Like I've said before, I do have some more quilting content to show you. I think I'm going to be starting up doing maybe like a quilting podcast every other week of a knitting podcast. That way I can do kind of 2 weeks in between both, but I can show you progress on different makes. Yeah, I have a lot of quilting things that I want to keep you updated on and fabric things that I'm excited about, but it's sometimes hard to mix together because I know my audiences don't always mix together. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you all so much for being here. I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.